you have to prepare a contrast between what Baba says and what is believed in the world. So you see that Baba is talking about the importance of knowledge in the Murli today. And this knowledge, so when Baba comes, Baba gives us knowledge, what is what, yes? And when we start to fall from the copper age onwards, at that time also Ravan gives us some belief systems. So there is a truth that Baba gives, and there is the beliefs that Ravan gives. And in Ravan Rajya, under the sway of vices, there are many beliefs that we internalize. And Baba now, when he comes, he makes us aware of the difference between beliefs and truth. And in the Murli today, Baba also says that you have to prepare, with this every day when our intellects are working better and better, we have to clearly state the contrast between Ravan Mat, which is the set of beliefs that Ravan gives us, and Shrimat, which is what Baba tells us. So let's take some of the things that come into my mind today. So Baba says that, purity is the basis of peace and happiness in the world. And purity is the basis of creating a new world order. Yes, so Baba says that everything begins with purity. And that is why when Baba comes, Baba gives us the knowledge of purity. Baba reminds us of our original pure nature. Baba reminds us that we come from that world which is pure. Baba reminds us that we are the children of the ocean of purity, because purity is most important. And you cannot change the world order without purity. You cannot change what we think, how we speak, and what we do without changing a soul from impure to pure. Because you see, when somebody is given a correction or a direction, it doesn't hit the soul, it hits the ego. Yes, so when somebody is given a direction or a correction, so we all know what needs to be done and what doesn't need to be spoken, and what's wrong with our thought, word and action. Basically, people know, but whenever you are trying to point that out to someone, then it is often an experience that it ends up hurting the ego rather than hitting the soul, where the soul realizes and changes. Now, why does that happen? Because the one giving the instruction is also ego. So in ego. So when you have not worked on your soul consciousness, then the person you're talking to, the soul you're talking to, will also receive that in body consciousness. And that correction, that direction will hit the ego rather than hitting the soul where there is realization. I will share some examples about this. So, there was this one time when I was going by a cab, and I was, as usual, with my ears plugged in so I was listening to a class, and I was just, my ears were plugged with the earphones, so, and my attention was not there on the driver, so I did not know what happened, but probably the driver threw something out of the window. So maybe an empty bottle or something he threw out of the window on the road. And then what happened is there was a big vehicle going, just crossing by, and those people started shouting at the driver and saying that you are littering the streets, and you see the Prime Minister is making so much of effort with Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, and this is how you're littering the streets, and you don't have any civic sense. And they started just shouting at the driver. And at that time, I became aware of that there was some fiasco going on. And then I started to listen to what was happening. And then the driver started saying that because I am a small man and you are in a big car and you are wealthy people, so you're shouting at me. And if it was a big shot in this car, then you wouldn't shout at him, even if he threw the same thing out of the window. And so the driver had his own argument that there is some kind of harassment going on here because he is a poor person, so that person is able to say these things to him, and because he is driving a small car, so the person driving beside has a big car, and he's a wealthy person, so he is shouting at him. So he started doing that, and then this whole thing was going on, and I was just sitting and observing, just like Baba says, just be detached and see, because there was nothing to do in that matter. And then after a while, though that vehicle crossed, and but still the driver was very agitated. And then after some time, he started telling me, you see, poor people have no say in this country, and whenever we do something, somebody will point out, they will abuse us, they will harass us, and this and that. And he just started babbling by himself. And I just kept quiet. I didn't say anything. And then just before getting down, I said, see, I don't know whether, I don't know what happened. I hardly saw anything. But don't you think that we shouldn't litter the streets? Just like that, I'm just asking you. So he said, no. I said, you see, it's our place. We live in this place. And we are so many. If we just took responsibility for our actions, then Delhi could be a cleaner place, or the world could be a cleaner place. And then he said, yes, you're right, we should do it. And you see, it's the same thing that the other people were also telling him. But what I'm trying to say is, Baba tells us that you cannot bring about change by holding resentment inside. So you see, if you are not working or in your own inner state of purity, peace, love, then whatever you teach the other soul will also just hurt their ego, because it is coming from a body conscious place. So whenever you talk to a soul, it should be soul to soul. So if a senior is talking to a junior, then, and the senior is in the consciousness that I am a senior, whether it's the parent, it's the boss, it's the teacher, whoever it is, then the child doesn't understand. But if you're in soul consciousness, if you know that you are a soul and you come from that place of mutual love, regard, and that place of purity, then I think that whatever you speak will hit the right place. And so that is why Baba says purity is the most important element of change. It is the foundation of change. You cannot create another world, new world, pure world without embracing purity. And this is why Baba says, I am educating you about your nature of purity. Baba tells us that you are basically pure. You come from the home of purity. 2500 years you live in a world where there is no impurity, and your father is the ocean of purity. So basically, impurity is a very new thing for us. Only the last 2500 years we those souls have been into vices. So if we just remind ourselves, so Baba, through this practice of self-awareness and yoga with Baba and churning the cycle, so reminding ourselves of how we were absolutely like a seed, very pure in the soul world, and how when we came to the stage also 2500 years, there was the body, there were relationships, there was work, but there was purity. So Baba says, keep reminding yourself of all of this. And when you keep remembering Baba, remembering your home, remembering your pure nature, remembering 2500 years of a pure kingdom, then you will always be full of pure feelings, pure wishes. Your heart will be clean of the 5 vices. There'll be no lust, anger, ego, attachment, greed in your mind, in your heart. And when that's the stage, then you will be able to look at the soul, because where there is lust, you will always look at the body. Where there is greed, you will always look at the money. Where there is attachment, you will always look at the relationship, the role, the physical relationship. Where there is ego, you will always get caught up in big, small, right, wrong, yes, senior, junior. You will always get caught up in that. But in order to have soul conscious drishti, you have to have purity. So Baba says, I am giving you the knowledge which makes you pure, because the knowledge is about purity. And the yoga that I tell you, so remember your father, your home, and the new world. They are all pure. So father is the ocean of purity, home is the pure world, the new world is pure. So when you remember that yoga makes you pure, because a simple rule for yoga is you become like the one you remember. So Baba says, I'm giving you the knowledge for purity, and purity is a must for transformation. So you cannot transform yourself or the world without purity, and purity will come when you churn the knowledge of purity and have yoga with the world which is pure, and Baba, which is the ocean of purity. So this is something that Baba is saying. And Baba is teaching us everything. So Baba tells us that so people in the world today, Baba says that just like people don't know Baba, they also don't know Maya. Yes, they don't know the 5 vices, and they don't know that the 5 vices are the enemy. Yes, so people think that relationships are the enemy. They don't know that attachment and lust is the enemy. Yes, it is not relationships which is the problem. It is the lust and attachment in the relationships or in the soul. So when a soul is coming into relationships and the soul is full of lust and attachment and greed and ego, that becomes a problem in relationships. Is it not? Yes. So when you see, when the sannyasis understood that they need to do something, they left the relationships. Why? Because they had no idea that it is the vices that is the problem. They thought that the relationship is the problem. And there was this one article some time back, there was a news, and the news was about a very wealthy couple. So it was a husband and wife, and they left their children and they took sannyas, and they became a sannyasi and went to live in the jungle. And it was on the Jain Muni path. So they became a Jain sannyasi, and then the world was just marveling at how it's an act of sacrifice to leave the family and go and stay alone. But the thing is, okay, you did that and maybe it looks like a courageous step, but then why are you doing it? Because the relationship is not the problem. The problem is the vices. And if you have not left the vices, then leaving the family won't work. And if you have left the vices, then why bother about the family? It's there. It doesn't affect you. Why do you have to leave it? If you have won over lust, anger, ego, attachment, greed, then while living in the family, you can lead a life of pure spirituality. You can do good karma as much as you want. So the relationship is not the problem. Our attachment, our lust, our ego, our greed, that's the problem. So Baba says that, people don't know Maya also. People don't know the vices also. It's not like they just don't know me, but they don't know that who is the real enemy. And that's why they are running. And that's why, people who leave homes are celebrated a lot. So if you have left home, you are thought to be a great person. But does just leaving the home make you a great person? No, Baba says greatness, you are equally great if you're in the family and you've left the vices. So Baba says, but this deep programming from bhakti, where we have always celebrated somebody who leaves the home. So we think that if we are living in the household, then there is nothing, we cannot do anything. But Baba says, it is never about leaving the relationships. It is always about leaving the vices. So you can change from a human to an angel. You can change from an angel to a deity. And you can do all of this while living in the household. And Baba says, you just need to imbibe knowledge and yoga, and that will give you the power of purity. And through that, you can change from a human to an angel while living within the household. So, Baba says, do not doubt your greatness just because you're living in the household. Do not doubt the possibility of being great, I should say. Because, again, you have to walk the talk for doing that. So if you're living in the household and you are paying attention to knowledge and yoga and you are becoming pure, that means that while living in the household also you can be as great, as somebody who leaves the household or becomes a sannyasi, and you can become greater because now Baba is teaching you how to finish your sins and how to develop divine virtues with which you can go to Satyug. So this is something that Baba says. Another thing is, people think that, money is the problem. And there is a very interesting saying, dhan maya hai. So people think prosperity is maya. And anybody who is prosperous is a bad person. So we have this interesting relationship with prosperity, where we want prosperity, but when we look at other people's prosperity, we say that, every prosperous person is wrong and bad. Yes, don't we? So we have this interesting paradoxical relationship with prosperity. So you want to be prosperous, but when you look at somebody who is prosperous, you don't think that that person is a good person, and you always think that anybody who is prosperous is a bad person. And prosperity is maya. This is a very big belief system that is there in us. And if you look at the whole communist thinking, this whole idea is based on that. So, poor people are good people and all rich people are wasted people. So, if there is prosperity, then there is evil. So, but Baba says, no, it's not like that. Money is not maya, or prosperity is not maya. Maya is vices. If you have money and you're vicious, then you misuse that money. You do karma which harms others through that money. That is maya. But if you have money, that's not maya. So if the source of money and the use of money is for benefit to everyone, money is a very big resource. Prosperity is a good thing, and Satyug is a prosperous world. And the deities live in prosperity. The deities don't live in misery. So what is this relationship with prosperity that we have? And do you know that I will just talk about two things. So there was a meeting where Janki Dadiji met Mother Teresa, and there was a conversation between them, and Janki Dadi told Mother Teresa that, people think that the poor are in sorrow, and there are many people who help the poor, but we know the poor and the rich are both in sorrow. So we help both. So it's not like somebody who is rich is bad and they are suffering because they deserve it, and somebody who is poor is good and they are suffering because they are the victim. But this is how it goes, and I will tell you a very important incident. And I once was meeting somebody who is looking after women welfare in a very big position. I will not name the position or the person, but in a very big position, that there's a person who is entrusted with looking after women welfare. And in that, when I was talking to that person told me that the troubles of poor women are real, whereas the troubles of rich women are all tantrums. So whenever there is a trouble in a rich woman's life, that's a tantrum they are throwing. So I said, could you please elaborate on that? So they said, इनके क्या problems होते हैं, that I didn't get enough money for shopping. Is that a problem? So that is the problem that rich women face. But then I told her, but you see that, this female feticide and these problems are a lot, in the belts where there is a lot of prosperity. So especially in North India, where there is a lot of wealth and prosperity, so there are real problems which so if there is female feticide problem, then obviously the mother is suffering. And if you just discard it as a rich woman's problem, that's not going to help the society. But you see, people have these biases, and we also have these biases if you look deep inside. And you see, if somebody, if somebody just tells somebody that this person is making money, so you can just so it's very easy to malign somebody's image by saying this person is making money, but nobody asks what are they doing with the money. Are they putting it to some good use? If they are putting it to good use, then what is the problem with making money? If you don't make money, how can you even do seva? Seva also requires money. But if you have this antagonistic relationship with money, then how will you... So this is a very interesting thing that, we always think that all the good people are poor and all the bad people are rich. And whenever somebody is prosperous or rich, you start pointing a finger at that person. But Baba says, no. The vices have got no relationship with the financial status of the person. You can be poor and vicious, rich and vicious, poor and viceless, rich and viceless. Both are possibilities that can be there. And Baba says that this is why you have to see the vices, you have to see what is the state of purity. Yes, so prosperity is not Maya. And there is another thing that we want to understand about this. So let's say you see somebody prosperous and you have this thought that this person is a bad person and doing something wrong. That's why that person is prosperous. Then you are giving negative energy to prosperity. What are you giving your negative energy to? You are giving your negative energy to prosperity. And then you need the same prosperity. You are yearning for that same thing. That's why, we are all seeking prosperity but going downhill because we do not view other people's prosperity as a good thing. So you think that dhan is Maya, and then you need dhan, you want dhan, it doesn't come to you. So remove this belief system that prosperity is something bad or it's Maya. Prosperity is just a resource. And any resource at the hand of a wise person is a good resource. So I was just, the other day there was somebody asking me about this artificial intelligence. And they were saying that, machines can fly and this and that, and robots can do everything. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I said nothing is a good thing or a bad thing. The person handling it is a good or a bad soul. Not a bad soul, but a weak soul or a wise soul. And you see, if you program a robot to kill, that robot will kill. If you program a robot to cook, that robot will cook. And if you program a robot to cook, it will make life easy. If you program a robot to kill, that would make life difficult. But who is the programmer? It's not the robot himself, it's the person. And that soul with his own consciousness will program the robot as he is. So if there are vicious souls, souls with anger, ego, attachment, greed, lust, those are programming the robots. You see, what are the robots doing these days? They are feeding lust and anger and this and that. Why? Because the people creating them are doing that. So nothing is a bad thing, nothing. No, science is a good thing. The body, the energy in the body is a good thing. The prosperity, the wealth is a good thing. People around you are, they are a resource. But when you have vices, you can just mess it all up. So this is something that Baba is pointing out today. And we need knowledge, because when we don't have knowledge about the vices, you start thinking that people are bad and relationships are bad and money is a bad thing, and then you are running away from all the everything. You think science is a bad thing and you're not embracing science. But Baba says no, these are not bad, it's the vices that are the problem. So Baba gives knowledge about this also. And then Baba says that, Baba today says something very interesting. Baba says that even when somebody who's a sculptor, he creates a beautiful picture, beautiful idol, you will give them a prize, or you will give them something. And I am creating heaven for you. So what prize would you give me? So do you know, when we will go to heaven, we will not remember Baba anymore. So we will forget and go. So Baba says, I create heaven for me and I need an advance payment for that. So these days, there is advance payment. And Baba says, you also have to give me the prize in advance. And advance payment is, I got introduced to this idea of advance payment in the last 6-7 years. So, earlier we always knew that you buy and then pay. But these days you order anything, if you are ordering anything, they will say just pay in advance, whether it is appliances or whether it is furniture or anything, they will ask for advance payment. They have not done any work and you give them some advance payment, and usually the amount of advance payment for big works is also very big. But we do that in society also, and even in this Kali-yugi world we are doing it, and we are giving advance payment. We don't even know whether that person will give you the proper service or not, but you're doing it anyway. And Baba says, I also think that you have to give me advance payment. And what is that advance payment? That you sacrifice yourself. So Baba says, I'm not, so you want to go to Satyug? First you have to sacrifice yourself. It's not like I will test whether Baba fulfills his promise or not and then I'll sacrifice. No, you first sacrifice. And do you know, this word sacrifice is a very interesting word, because sacrifice means to make sacred. So if you don't sacrifice, you cannot be sacred, you cannot go to the sacred world. And your sacrifice is what will make you sacred. And what is the meaning of sacrifice? So the meaning of sacrifice is not that you give away something. Baba doesn't say leave the home, leave the family, or just give away all the wealth you have. Nothing like that. Baba says, whatever you do from now on, let it be on the lines of Srimat. So it's not just about body, mind, and wealth, but every thought, every word you speak, every feeling you create, your remembrance also should be on the lines of Srimat. What is Srimat? Whatever Baba tells us in the Murli, Baba gives us the directions about what to think, who to remember, what kind of words to speak, how to use our body, mind, and wealth. Everything Baba will slowly, even if you have not learned the whole thing, or slowly, gradually, you will start understanding what are Baba's directions for every aspect of life, right from our consciousness to our attitude, to our vision, to our thoughts, to our words, everything. And Baba says, sacrificing yourself completely means that you totally follow Srimat, that you do everything according to Shiv Baba's directions. That is sacrificing. And Baba says it has got nothing to do with, you come with your bag and baggage and stay in the center. That's not what I'm telling. I'm just telling you to stay where you're staying, live with whom you're living, no problem. But just do everything according to my directions. And Baba says this is the contract. You sacrifice yourself in advance, and I will make you the ruler of heaven. I will create that world for you and give it to you. Okay, so this is the advance payment that you have to make. All right, Om Shanti.